Two puzzles, two totally different vibes. One took me back to my school days, and one dropped me in the middle of a tropical getaway. Let's see how they came together and what I thought of them. Welcome to Puzzles and Purrs. I'm Vicki, and this is like my fifth time trying to record this video. I have had all kinds of incidents, so this is almost like the video that did not want to get made. I actually recorded it yesterday. It was an 18-minute video with all my thoughts and feelings about these puzzles, and my microphone wasn't on, so it had no sound. And I've been trying to record it multiple times today, and the video puzzle powers that be are not having it. But you know what? I'm going to keep going because technical difficulties are not going to keep me down, and they're not going to keep these gorgeous puzzles down either. So let's start with my thoughts on Paradise Cove. 500 pieces, art by Michele Farella. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Look at that. The water's so blue, the mountains are so green and lush, and there are so many beautiful tropical birds. I mean, I would say this was a perfect puzzle image. I would say that. But there was one thing that kept this from being a perfect puzzle image. Can you guess what it is? Go ahead, take a look. Is there anything odd about this puzzle? Well, you might not think it's odd, but it struck me as odd from the moment I saw it. A little puppy there. I don't know why he's in this puzzle. I don't know why his proportions seem odd. You see him? He did not seem to me like he belonged in the puzzle. It almost seemed like he was shoehorned in there for some reason. Now, I love animals. I love cats. I love dogs. And typically, I think any puzzle is better with a cat or dog in it. Not this one. Even if there was a cat in this one, I would say it didn't belong. I don't know why that dog is there. I think you take that dog out of the puzzle, it is just as enjoyable, just as pretty, and I think it makes a little more sense to me. So, yeah, I don't know. Give me your thoughts on the puppy. Yes to the puppy in the puzzle, no to the puppy in this puzzle. What do you think? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Okay, let's get to the quality. Like every White Mountain puzzle, I found this puzzle to be of great quality. There was minimal puzzle dust, not enough to irritate people. This was a 500 count, which can sometimes be random cut and can sometimes be grid cut. So we'll open this box in a minute and we'll talk about which it was. Back of the box here has different pictures of White Mountain puzzles. And you can see this is the side here. And it has the puzzle image, the count, and the name of it, Paradise Cove, right there. The other side is a little different in that it says Paradise Cove. So, yeah, sometimes I display mine this way, and sometimes I display them this way. I don't know. I'm not that picky about it when I store these. Okay, so let's open up the box. And first thing you see is beautiful poster that comes with the puzzle. It's the same image that's on the box, same size, but I love having that poster. Okay, I've already put these pieces in a zip top bag because it will be getting swapped soon. And when I looked through the puzzle, I actually had a hard time figuring out what the cut of this puzzle was. I am leaning toward this is a grid cut puzzle because it has your traditional shapes like that and this kind of shape. They were a little bigger than your typical 1,000-piece White Mountain, which I'll show you in a minute. So they were bigger, and I easily would have classified it as a grid cut puzzle, but then it had these weird pieces, which were just not found in a typical White Mountain puzzle, at least 1,000-piece White Mountain puzzle. I'm going to see if I can find any other weird ones. There were a bunch, and I just could not figure out what kind of puzzle this was. Of course, now that I'm looking for them, I can't find any. Okay, like look at this one, kind of wonky. Let me see, I thought I saw a really weird one before. Oh, and here was another thing, like just the sizes of things. Like this is an edge piece, that corner piece. Isn't that super big? Seemed like a really big corner piece. By the way, none of this detracted from the enjoyment of the puzzle. It just seemed odd. So some of these pieces did seem like they were random cut, and some of them, most of them, seemed like a grid cut puzzle. So I don't know. Is there such thing as a hybrid puzzle? See, this is not a typical White Mountain piece at all. And it's just odd that you would have such size differences. So this is a piece and this is a piece in the same puzzle. Whereas with a, oh, here's another jumbo piece that you can see. In a typical 1,000-piece White Mountain puzzle, you do not have this kind of size difference. All the pieces are pretty uniformly sized. So I don't know if you know what kind of puzzle this was or have an idea as to what kind of cut this was. Please leave me a comment because I don't know. Okay, and I did say that we would take a look at, compare it to the vintage classroom pieces. We'll do that in a minute. I took some notes about my thoughts on this puzzle. Okay, the border of this puzzle came together really quickly, which I like. I love easy borders because I typically puzzle, I don't puzzle in these long marathon sessions. I just can't. I work and full time, and so I take puzzle breaks. Like I'm sure you've heard of people taking smoke breaks. I take puzzle breaks during the day. So it's like 5 or 10 minutes here and there. So I love when I can get a border done in one of my break times. That's like my favorite thing. So I like easy borders. This one was easy. It came together quickly. I would say the whole puzzle was fairly easy. It was not frustrating. It was relaxing. I enjoyed doing it. The puzzle quality was good. The piece thickness was good. Really like this puzzle. If I had to, I'd give it 2 thumbs up. Okay, let's take a look now and compare before we put this away completely at our vintage classroom pieces, just so I can compare and you can see the difference in these piece shapes. And then we'll move on to talking about vintage classroom. Okay, so I kept a couple of these out. Okay, so like I said, this had a really wonky piece there, right? This is one with 1, 2, 3 little nubs. This is a typical one in a 1,000-piece White Mountain puzzle. So you see, this isn't a grid cut puzzle. Very different. And like I said, this piece was very different than what you'd find in a typical White Mountain puzzle. So this one has a nub here and a nub here. I'll just find you a traditional. And you'll see the pieces are smaller and they are much more uniform. I will show you that in depth a little more, excuse me, once we talk about the pieces in Vintage Classroom. Okay, Vintage Classroom. I got this specifically to do during back to school time. I am a big fan of seasonal puzzling, and I would love to know, do you guys puzzle seasonally? Do you try to do images that represent kind of like what's going on in the world, what's going on outside, or will you work any puzzle at any time? I tend to be seasonal. So yeah, I was saving this. I think I've had this for, I don't know if it's a 2024 puzzle. Let's see. 2024, Steve Crisp. So I've had this one for a year and I was saving it for September to do for back to school time. Now this puzzle had me with some questions. So it says Vintage Classroom, right? I am not sure what the time frame that this puzzle takes place in, but we do have some clues. Do you want to help me? Do you want to help me with the mystery? Maybe you can leave your guesses in the comments based on this image. Okay, let me tell you what I'm thinking. First of all, there's a chalkboard here, and one of the things it says on the chalkboard is May 18th, 1890. I believe that's what it says. Super small. But then it says read May 18th, 1990. And I looked at the image and it's clearly not 1890. I mean, look at the style of dress. And I don't know. At first, I actually thought it was 1890. And then my daughter said, Mom, there's a school bus outside. See that yellow school bus? So that really didn't make any sense. And there's some lights and but there is that wood burning stove there, or whatever you call those things. I don't know what they're called. Gas? No. Stove? Pipe? Whatever. I'm not a stove person, okay? But there is one in the classroom, which you don't find in today's classrooms. The desks are very old looking. They're the type where the chair is attached and the top goes up. I used to hate desks like that in school because, first of all, they were always gross inside. I don't recall a ton of these. I recall more standalone desks and chairs, and the desks that had openings where you could put things in. Those always had like gum, dried up gum on the inside of those. They were really gross. So yeah. Um, when I look at the kid's dress, I still am having a hard time. So this boy to me screams 50s. He's got these rolled up jeans, that white t-shirt, but then I don't know that this girl here screams 50s. Little miserable girl with the bowl haircut. By the way, fun fact, when I started kindergarten, I had a bowl haircut. My mom thought it would be cute. It wasn't cute. If you are contemplating a bowl haircut, don't do it. If you're contemplating giving your child a bowl haircut, don't do it. Look, do you want your kid to look like that? Do you want them to have that face all the time? Because I don't think that was her school face. I think that was her face all the time because of that haircut. So anyway, she did not look like she was from the 50s. And then this girl here, she was interesting because I thought she looked like the character 11 from Stranger Things. The actress is Millie Bobby Brown, though I think she's blonde now, but that's who that reminded me of right there. So it's your typical classroom full of troublemakers, ne'er-do-wells, and some teachers' pets. Like you could tell this girl, total teacher's pets, right? And this boy, I think he's a troublemaker. He's laughing. He's got his hand kind of sliding in his desk, probably sticking a piece of dried up gum in there. I know his kind. So I have no idea, honestly, what year this is. 50s, 60s? I would love to hear your thoughts. Okay, next odd thing about this puzzle. Let me see if I can get it in the right spot. Okay, what is that and that? Yeah, it's a dog and cat in a classroom. So I think this was from before allergies were a thing, because why is there a dog and cat in a classroom? Besides allergies, that seems incredibly distracting. Teachers' jobs are hard enough. They do not need to compete with a cute dog and cat. Again, I question the appropriateness of putting a dog and cat in the classroom. Now, maybe if they wanted to have a better view of the outside and have the dog or cat outside, that seems a little more appropriate. But why are they in the classroom? Just seems like a big distraction. And my husband noticed there was actually another little cat up there. So there's two cats in the classroom. I mean, is there a litter box? Do they go outside to do their business and then come back? I don't even know. I don't know. But all that to say, I love this image by Steve Crisp. Even with the cat. Here, my issue with the cat and the dog is not that they are not well illustrated. They are beautiful, they are cute, they are cuddly. Just that I think it would be really hard for the teacher to teach with these animals there. But okay, let's go to my thoughts on this puzzle. Get my handy dandy notes. Okay, this puzzle, I found the border to be pretty tricky. And the things that gave me the most problems were there were a lot of brown areas. And so I had some trouble with that. And it took me way longer than I think it should have to complete the border on this puzzle. I started after the border, the first thing I started with, believe it or not, the flowers here. I don't know, they jumped out at me, and that's what I started with. So after that, I worked on the chalkboard because the blackish grayish background with the white writing kind of stood out, and that was an easy place to begin. So if you watch the videos, time lapses of these puzzles, you're going to enjoy Phoebe, who was around for both of them, I believe. Sophie is not around in the time lapses. Sophie is more of a supervisor than an actual participant in the puzzles. Phoebe just loves to be around, get on camera, try to build her social media following, the usual. So Sophie's a little more camera shy, but she does make some appearances on my Instagram page where I will prop up a puzzle next to her just so people know that Sophie exists, even though they don't see her in videos. So, yeah, I like this puzzle a lot. I wouldn't say it was the easiest puzzle in the world, but it was not difficult. So it was pretty fun to puzzle. There was always something to do. You always knew what the next section was. I enjoyed it. And I'm glad I saved it for back to school time. So you tell me now, which of these puzzles did you like best? Which would you rather puzzle? Vintage Classroom or Paradise Cove? I would love to hear your thoughts, and I would love it if you enjoyed this video to give me a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much. You're just really helping the channel to grow and helping me to make more puzzle content, even if I have to re-record videos because of technical issues caused by me. But thank you. I really appreciate your support. And yeah, thanks so much. I hope you enjoy the time lapses and enjoy the cameos by my cat. Until next time, friends, enjoy the time lapse. Thank you for joining us. Bye.